What's up guys, TC here, and today I wanted to talk about throwing weapons. Throwing weapons are essentially backup weapons in Starbound. They have two unique attributes about them that really define their role in the game. The first is that they're actually one-handed. I think a lot of people don't know, but you can dual-wield throwing weapons with other one-handed weapons. So like here I have my pistol, but also I have a grenade, right? And I can also throw Molotovs or Chinese stars with my pistol at the same time. They function as a perfect secondary to go with another weapon, but the other unique factor about them is that they don't cost any energy, and that's really the kicker of what really solidifies their role in the game. What makes them, I think people don't use them much because it's hard to get a lot of them, and so what I did is I went through the game and I found which throwing items can you craft, which ones can you amass a large amount of, because most of them, like a lot of the really cool ones, you can't get in large quantities, and if you can't have them in large quantities, then I don't really consider them viable. So what I did is I went through, I found a list of all the different throwing items in the game that can be crafted and what it takes to craft them. So if you look over here on the right side of this ship locker, you'll see all of these are the ones that you can craft in the game, and on the left side you'll see the ingredients required to make them. And so they're actually how much it costs here equals this. So for instance, this one takes 3 unrefined wood and 3 cobblestone, and that will give you 5 hunting spears, right? So I think what we'll do is we'll just go down the side here, and I'll explain each one and their viability if I recommend them. I'm gonna recommend some, and I'm gonna not recommend some. So the first one here is the throwing bones. Throwing bones can be crafted with ancient bones, which you find on those like tar planets with bones everywhere. You just crack those little things on the surface, drops these ancient bones. Actually pretty easy to get a large number of these. You just go around the planet breaking all of them and pick them up. And surprisingly, the throwing bones are actually really good. When you throw it, it pops out 3 bones, and each bone does a moderate amount of damage, and they bounce along the ground. So if you can manage to make all of them connect, it's actually a really strong backup weapon. So I do recommend this one. The next one is the hunting spear. It's made out of unrefined wood and cobblestone, which it's really easy to, amass a large amount of them, and it does make 5. The problem is they don't have that great a range, and they don't do a lot of damage. Especially on some of the higher tier bosses, they hardly do any damage at all. So maybe early on, but later I don't really recommend it much. The third one here is the snowflake shuriken, and I do recommend this one because all you do is you go around, takes these snowflakes, 3 snowflakes, makes 1 shuriken. And you can just go to any ice planet, run around the surface and break those little ice cube things, and you'll pick up a ton of these, right? So they're very cheap to make, and they do a good damage, and they're also like laser accurate. They don't arc any, they don't have any drop. They go exactly where you point and click them. They're quick. You can spam them. Definitely recommend these. The next one up here is the tarball. Tarball is very unique among the throwing items. When you hit an enemy or someone with a tarball, it gives them that slowness effect, like when you step in oil. But the problem is that they do really low damage, and the effect they have where they slow you down is not enough. Like it's too weak to make up for how bad it is. Like yeah, it slows the enemy down, but it's not strong enough to really for me to want to put it on my hotbar and use it. And it's really easy to get though. It takes 1 tar, which it's so easy to mine, thousands of tar. But I still don't recommend it unless you just really need to slow something down. The next one here are these thorn grenades, which these come from the thorn fruit and gunpowder, so pretty easy to farm. But I actually don't recommend them because when they land, like yeah, on direct impact they blow up, they do good damage. But when they blow up, they shoot these like pins out in like all around them, and it hits you too. And I noticed when I was testing, almost every time I would hit an enemy with them, I would get hit too. So because they just they explode and they go all the way across the screen. So there's really no way to get away from it. You just have to kind of hope it doesn't hit you. So because of that kind of collateral damage it does to you, I really don't recommend them. They are easy to make, but I still don't recommend it. The next step are these little bombs, and if you watched my shock hopper video earlier, you'll see that these things are really powerful on bosses. I beat the shock hopper boss in under 40 seconds using these. You can craft them with iron and gunpowder, or you can buy them from merchants, and I think merchants sell them for 200 pixels. So it's a little expensive, but you know, I have that pixel farm that I made that's really efficient. It gives me 180,000 an hour. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. But buying a ton of these bombs is not an issue for me, and they're very effective, very strong. They explode on impact. They bounce on the ground. Uh, Definitely recommend these. And the Molotov coming up next is my all-time favorite. Like, this is the one that I highly recommend. The Molotov, when it hits any enemy or the ground, it explodes, does good damage, and it sets them on fire, and it also sets the ground on fire. And all it takes to craft it is 3 empty bottles, 10 oil, and fabric. And these 3 resources are extremely easy to get in large numbers. You can go to any desert planet and mine for 15 minutes and get, 10,000 sand to make a ton of bottles. It's easy to get thousands of oil on those same planets, and then you can get the fabric from the plant fiber, like those trees that drop plant fiber. Easy to get thousands of those too. And ultimately, you have the combination of everything that makes a good backup throwable weapon, in that it's damaging, it has lots of usefulness, it works in multiple situations, and it's relatively cheap to make. And then the last one here is the throwing axe, hunting spear, and the throwing knife all come from 1 iron. So essentially 1 iron bar will give you 1 throwing axe, or 1 iron bar will give you 2 hunting spears, or 1 iron bar will give you 3 throwing knives. And their damage is proportional to how much they cost. So, throwing axe does 3 times the damage of a throwing knife. But I don't really recommend them, because to get any large number of these, you have to spend a valuable resource. And iron is not something you can just farm and get a ton of. You have to actually actively go looking for it. And I don't really recommend it, and they don't do enough damage for me to really justify using them. But so now I'm going to back on here and show you guys the different effects of different ones. So I showed you the bomb here. It's got a little bit of a delay, it'll bounce, throw, but it does good damage. Let's see. And then next we have the Molotov. This is my favorite. It's got good little range on it, and you can see it lights stuff on fire. Right, and it doesn't cost any energy to use these. That's what makes them so good, is that you basically have a gun that does high damage. It doesn't cost any energy, and it allows you to regen your energy while you still do damage to the enemy. Here's the snowflake shuriken, which you see it's just straight. It doesn't look it doesn't look super impressive, but you can spam it. It does good damage, and it's pretty cheap to farm, so I do recommend it. Here is the throwing bones, and here, like I said, the range isn't that crazy on it, but if you get hit with all 3 bones, and they do bounce, as you see, it does a lot of damage. I think it's around 40 damage per bone. So, looking at 120-ish damage when you can get all 3 of them, and you can just non-stop throw them. Definitely recommend those 2. Here's the spear, and it's just so slow. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Here's the iron spear. Again, I don't really recommend them. And the throwing knife is a lot like the shuriken, but it's just more expensive, Now we pull these down real quick. Well, let's see here. And we look at let's pull up the tar ball, the thorn grenade, and the throwing axe, so you guys can see everything. Tar ball, terrible range, like that's as far as you can throw it, but it does give that slowness effect. Here's the thorn grenade, which it just kind of sticks to stuff when it lands, and it takes a minute to blow up. Yeah, see that? It hit me. Yeah, I'm getting hit right now. And here's the throwing axe, which not terrible. It does do more damage than the other ones, but I don't like to spend iron on something like this. You'd have to have a lot of them. That pretty much sums up the different throwable items. Like I said, I highly recommend the Molotov, just because of the way it's easy to use, it's effective, it's strong, easy to farm. All of these can be crafted over here at the metal workstation. So you look here. Once you get like for most of them, the ingredients, once you find it. So like once you get the throwing bones, yeah, once you pick up ancient bones for the first time, you'll learn the crafting recipe for this stuff. So just definitely go find the resources, make it. It's not hard to do. Metal workstation does all of the throwing weapons. So there's that. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you picked up something from it. I should be making more videos. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. I'm trying to get established in the Starbound community, and I finally have the equipment necessary to record a little bit better, and I'll be improving that even further in the coming weeks. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll talk to you all later.